Title of the video is not a clickbait. It's true. I am done with Diablo 3. Now, there are many reasons for this, and this was something that I didn't just come to the conclusion of overnight. This is something that I've been thinking about for quite a while now, months now. And I thought, I want to take my time and think about this because it's been such a big impact on my life, and it's something that I've enjoyed a lot over the years, that I wanted to make sure I was making the right choice. And on top of that, I wanted to take time and think about this because of my viewers, because of you guys. I didn't want to just make a rash decision because I know it affects more than just me. It affects a lot of people. I've grown a YouTube channel primarily around Diablo 3 for years, since the beginning of Diablo 3, and my stream as well. I've been doing this longer than anyone, being a primarily Diablo 3 streamer, primarily Diablo 3 YouTuber. And also for a period of time of like a couple years, I was the source of information to go to. I was essentially the biggest D3 content creator out there for years. It's like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that, until I just stopped doing that. I stopped making the consistent videos like I once did, and then people like Riker pop up and stuff like that, and I'm happy for his success. I'm happy that he's found his market for how he wants to incorporate Diablo 3 videos, but the types of stuff that he does and the type of stuff that I do are different, right? I mean, I have on YouTube primarily kind of focused on in-depth walkthrough style guides, theory crafting, coming up with builds, creating essentially the meta for the game before meta was an overused term for 4-player groups. The game has changed a lot, and making videos for it is part of the reason why I don't enjoy Diablo 3 as much nowadays. There's many reasons, actually, and I want to get into all of that. Now, this might be a little all over the place, this video. This is not scripted. I never script my videos. That's a little, maybe, Easter egg that people might not know. I've never scripted videos. I always just make sure it comes from here, and it comes from here to you. And that's what it's always been. And that's what it always will be. I feel like it's a lot more genuine, and I feel like you can kind of be in my shoes and kind of see it from my perspective. That's kind of the point of this video, is to allow you to see it from my perspective. I could have easily just posted a Twitter post and said, hey, I'm done with D3, and that's it. I felt like it needed more than that, because that would be the easy way out, That would be the easy way out, and just saying, and I think it's also disrespectful. I think it would be disrespectful to my viewers to just do it like that. And that's why I don't script these things, and that's why it's off the cuff. I might make a few edits if I'm just rambling on about something stupid for a while. I might do that. But let's get into all the reasons, and near the end of the video, maybe talk about what's next, what's on my mind and everything. But first off, I do want to let you see this from my perspective, right? Some people might be like, well, Shinobi, you're making a big deal out of this, right? People play games and quit games all the time, right? It's a thing that people do, right? There's so many games out there. We're so saturated with so much good gaming that we can muster all the time out there. And picking up a game and quitting a game is not really a big deal. But for me, Diablo 3 has been has been a lifestyle. It's been an important factor in my life. Before YouTube, before streaming, gaming was my passion. It was my number one hobby. I've always had hobbies, but gaming was always my number one hobby, always. I'm a huge movie buff, did comic books, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Digimon, Mage Knight, Warhammer 40K, board games. I mean, I can go on forever. I've done it all. I really was a big hobby type guy. And gaming was always my number one passion. It was always the main thing. When in doubt, just plug in a game and just go. That's the way it always was for me. If I was ever bored, I could always just turn to gaming. So before YouTube, that's how it was. And then when I got into YouTube, I was like, okay, I'm going to take my number one passion and I'm going to make videos about it because I have this information about games and I make guides about these videos. I actually got the idea for the way that I make videos back when I was about, I think, 10, 11 years old. Yeah, 20 years ago. Don't do the math on that, by the way. So back then, I remember the exact moment. I was playing Final Fantasy VIII, and I wanted to get more information about the game. I didn't really there's a big open world where you could kind of take your boat and go around to these other zones and these other areas and discover other things. And I wanted to find, the other GFs in the game on, getting those ones. I'm like, how do I get those? I'm not really sure. Then I got to go against this boss. Which GF is good against this boss? I'm not really sure without trial and error type situation, right? It's pretty much how gaming was. We didn't have YouTube where you could just, some guy put thousands of hours into this exact thing and he compiled it into a 10-minute video. Okay, I'll just watch that for free, right? That's what it is nowadays with YouTube and streaming. You can literally go into a stream. It blows my mind that you can go into a stream nowadays and you can go and talk to a professional League of Legends player and you can ask him advice on the game. It wasn't like that when I was growing up. I had to learn everything myself. I was a completionist when it came to games. I would rent multiple games every weekend, sit down in one sitting and beat them 100%. Every single time. I played so many games over the years. We didn't have the whole YouTube thing back then and these in-depth guides and stuff, but what we did have was a couple of things. We had strategy guides that you could go buy from your electronics store, and those, cost money, right? And then also, if you guys know, strategy guides are kind of crappy, right? Who the hell uses strategy guides nowadays? And back then, it was one of the only things we could do. And it told us some good information, but most of it was pretty crappy and just told you the obvious stuff to begin with. They weren't really good to begin with. But there was other options out there, like, for instance, GameFAQs.com or GameFAQs, where you could go there and somebody had put in a lot of time into that game and 100% completed a game, and then they writ hours and hours and hours and hours of text into a walkthrough format for you to go through and read that stuff and know exactly what you're getting yourself into. That inspired me to be a YouTuber. And when I read that stuff, it really impacted me. So when I got older and I had put a lot of time into games and I had figured out a lot of stuff about them, I was like, okay, if I'm going to do YouTube, because I wanted to do YouTube, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I had a bunch of ideas before YouTube, but what I ended up falling on was doing gaming stuff. When I was like, okay, I'm going to make in-depth walkthrough guides. So the format in which I make my videos isn't completely inspired by what that was that I used to do many, many, many years ago. And I started with World of Warcraft, and World of Warcraft was, did really well on my channel. I started being really known in the WoW community. People like WoW Hubs, Athene, Swifty, the community itself really embracing my videos and being featured on websites, and I've been talked about in podcasts before for some of those WoW videos. Did you know there's this thing you can do? It's just stuff that I had figured out and made videos about. And then when Diablo 3 was coming around the corner, I played Diablo 2 religiously, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll make Diablo videos, but I don't know. I want to play the game first and see if I like it at least. But nobody knew anything about Diablo 3 because the only thing you could do in Diablo 3 was get to level 13 in the beta. That's all you could do. So nobody knew anything about the game. But me being the type of person that I am, that in-depth walkthrough style type person, I went in deep. I went in real deep into Diablo 3. And a majority of the reason is because I enjoyed the game, but I also just wanted to learn more. When I'm passionate about something, I just want to learn more and more and more and more about it. And my brain is like a sponge when it comes to things that I'm really intrigued by. You know, things like school and whatever the case, like, you know, flies right over my head. Because I'm like, this is boring. I don't like this. It's too easy, or this and that or whatever. I don't like it. It doesn't stimulate me enough, right? But gaming has always done that for me. So I started making D3 guides in the beginning, and those videos took off too. And people were like, we need more information. How do you do this? How do you do that? Like, I mean, my videos were driven by the passion of the community. And that's what got me even deeper into D3. Even though I enjoyed the game, I'm like, yeah, it's not the greatest game, right? It definitely has a lot of issues. You know, back then, that's what I was saying. But my community loves it, and they want more videos. And I want to provide that for them. Like, you know, I felt special. I felt like I had a place. And so I kept going with it. I kept making more videos, and as, you know, time flew by. Time really flew by, and I got really deep into it, and, you know, I had spent thousands of hours playing Diablo 3 at this point, and I'd made hundreds of videos for D3 and streamed it for thousands of hours and played it for thousands of hours, like put so much into D3, and it's like, man, where did all the time go? Where did all the time go? This has been crazy. And D3 was a huge impact on my stream and my YouTube channel because this was finally an experience where I knew more about the game than almost anybody out there. And I couldn't really say that about World of Warcraft because, you know, sure, I know a crap ton about World of Warcraft, but there's so many people that played World of Warcraft over the years. And there's been times where I didn't play for like 6 months at a time or whatever, even though I played since vanilla. There's people that are just constantly, you know, having that mindset that I've had in D3, people have done in World of Warcraft. So for me, it was like I felt special because it's like, you know, I've kind of cornered this market, right? My YouTube channel, I was, you know, around the Reaper of Souls launch, Reaper of Souls beta, I was the go-to channel for D3. Like, if you searched anything Diablo 3 related, my videos were at the top of the search algorithm on YouTube for a long period of time. And that felt special too. And it was like, you know, even though, like, you know, I don't really like some of these things about D3, I mean, there's so much of this awesome positive stuff over here, like being like the source of information and being up there high on the search algorithm and everything like that. It just, all the way that my community talks about the game and the way that they, you know, I feel like I'm needed. I felt like I had a purpose, I guess you can say. But as time went on, the game just changed more and more and more. And finally, I got to this point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, this isn't the same game that I remember. This isn't what I enjoyed about Diablo 3. I don't even enjoy making Diablo 3 videos anymore. You know, in the past year and a half, I haven't really made many videos on my channel because my channel consists of mainly Diablo 3 people that subscribed for Diablo 3, and that's what they want to see. And if I'm not able to make those videos because there's nothing going on in the game that is my style of making videos, right? There's obviously patches and stuff like that that come out, like Riker does, for instance, where he talks about, hey folks, Riker, you know, and he'll be like, the new patch talks about this and that or whatever. I'm like, that's not my style of video. Like, works for him, that's great, I'm happy for him, right? But That's not my style of video. My style of video is these in-depth walkthrough guides. You may say, well, Shinobi, you got to learn, you got to adapt, you got to change. No, I agree with that, but that's not what I do. That's not my thing. That's not my thing. I'm not going to change my thing because one game decided to drastically change their game. That's not what I'm going to do. I'll move on to another game where I can do that in, right? And that's more the train of thought that I see with it. But that's only one of many reasons. One of many reasons. Like, making Diablo 3 videos is not as fun for me nowadays, but that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. So let's go ahead and get into some reasons for me coming to this conclusion. Now, do I think that Diablo 3 is better? Generally better than it was back in the day? Yeah, it is. You would be stupid to say, well, that's a harsh word. You would be ignorant to say that Diablo 3 has not evolved in a better way, right? Give you an example. When Reaper of Souls first came out, before we had the Greater Rifting system, the only thing that we could do was do bounties and do Nephilim Rifts for no reason, to get loot for no reason, right? The Greater Rifts gave us a reason to use that gear, and that was something that was cool. But when Reaper Souls first came out, we didn't have Greater Rifts right in the beginning, right? So that's an example of the game has improved over the years. However, they've focused a little too much on the things that don't make Diablo 3 special, right? So let me give you an example and talk about this as a World of Warcraft player and a D3 player, and kind of compare them side by side. So maybe, because a lot of you have played World of Warcraft, so you probably understand what I'm talking about when I make this comparison. So I love the Greater Rifts, and I love the Challenge Rifts, right? But Greater Rifts is your end game, essentially, for D3. What's your end game for World of Warcraft? Well, raiding, right? Raiding's your end game. So let's imagine in the beginning of Legion, Blizzard comes out with Emerald Nightmare raid, and that's the only raid we get, and that's all we do for the entire 2 years of that expansion. How many people would stop playing the game? Almost all of them, right? Except for the people that do PvP a lot, or maybe a lot of the casual people just kind of pick it up every once in a while, or whatever. Majority of people will be like, okay, screw this. When are we going to get more content? Like, that was a huge problem with WoD, for instance, right? And why people think it's like the worst thing that ever happened in World of Warcraft. Diablo 3 Greater Rifts is essentially like giving us one raid. That's what it is. It's the same thing over and over again. The first 2 weeks of a Diablo 3 season is the most fun you're going to have in Diablo 3 nowadays. And in my opinion, the reason why it's so fun is because it's what Diablo 3 should be all about. The hunt for loot, killing monsters, doing different things. You know, you're doing Nephilim Rifts, you're doing Greater Rifts, you're doing bounties, you're doing challenge rifts, you're getting certain loot, you're hunting goblins, you're doing vaults, you're doing a number of stuff. You're doing Season Journey, set dungeons if you're a crazy person, right? So I'm just kidding. I just hate set dungeons. So you're doing a lot of stuff in the first 2 weeks, and you feel like you're progressing, right? You feel that sense of accomplishment, that solo player accomplishment, or if you do it with your friends as well, you feel that, oh, I'm getting stronger. This feels nice. It feels great to get an upgrade. It feels great to be able to do this stuff. These kind of things is what made Diablo 3 to begin with. It's what made Diablo 2 as well, is that, you know, oh, I got an SOJ, and oh my god, this is amazing. Oh, Enigma, oh my god. You know, like, you had those moments of those, you know, holy crap moments. And the first 2 weeks is pretty much that in a new season. And that's why people play the first 2 weeks. And then the next 2.5 months is just grinding paragons in a 4-person group and grinding your augments higher. That's it. That's all you do for 2.5 months. If you can look past the fact that people use Turbo HUD and people use botting and that it's an unfair competitive environment to begin with, if you can look past that and just break it down simply, all you're doing is you're doing the same action over and over again for 2.5 months. It's like doing Emerald Nightmare for 2.5 months, and that's it, right? The challenge rifts was an awesome opportunity for Blizzard to give us pre-made greater rifts. A pre-made greater rifting system from tier 1 to tier 100. 100 different greater rifts. And they were all balanced, and you could strategize your way up the leaderboard, and it was a race to see who could get to 100 first. Stuff like that. That would be a lot more exciting. That would feel like you're progressing. That would feel like, that would be a start to something. You can't just give us challenge rifts and be like, okay, you can do the same thing over and over again all week long. Why? Why do you keep coming back to that? Why do you keep coming back to doing that same thing over and over again? You're doing the exact same greater rift, when you're doing the challenge rift. I like the idea of it, and I think that's like a big part of the problem with Diablo 3, and that's something that I just can't get by, something that I can't find enjoyment in the game, because these things exist. These things are the core of what Diablo 3 is. You have to look at it from my perspective. I play games 8, 10, 12 plus hours a day. If I'm going to play that much, I need to be able to have, that time needs to be well spent, right? And it's not well spent in D3, spending that much time doing that stuff. It's just boring after a while. Like I said, I love the first 2 weeks of the season. I think if seasons were 1 month long and that's it, and it was a race to see who could get to tier 100 or whatever, if they were to, change some of the numbers, because the numbers are ridiculous, and kind of nerf down the power creep that they've been doing, and then it's a race to 100, like in the solo leaderboard and in the group leaderboard, and they were separate leaderboards, that would be a lot more fun for me. And you may say, well, Shan, you just described Path of Exile, right? And my whole thing about Path of Exile is that, do you know why people play Path of Exile? Because they want Diablo 3 to do things, and they're not doing it, so they go to Path of Exile. That's why. Everybody's rooting for D3. If you look at almost every Path of Exile streamer, they first started doing D3, or they loved playing D3, but it just wasn't giving them what they needed, so they moved on to Path of Exile. That's essentially what happened. The guys over at GGG, they've done a great job with their game, and it has its faults, it has its problems for sure. It's not perfect, but they looked at it and they went, well, Blizzard's not doing this stuff, so let's do that stuff, right? And that's why they did it. And they put that game together, and people have moved on to that game. So that's part of it, right? It's just, there's a lot of reasons. To break it down simply, it's just Diablo 3 has changed a lot. And for me, as a content creator, as someone that streams on a daily basis or wants to stream on a daily basis, haven't been able to due to my living situation, and then also just the stress and anxiety and demotivation that I've had towards doing streams, because, for so long I spent so much time doing one thing, and now that I'm not doing that thing, because the past couple months I've barely been playing Diablo 3, and that's also another reason why I thought this would be the right choice, because okay, I don't wake up in the morning, I don't have the urge to play it, maybe I should just move on, right? Like I said, I did all that stuff for so long, and I did that one thing, and it's okay, well, now what do I do, right? If I'm not going to do Diablo 3, what am I going to move on to next? And I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure what I want to move on to next. I do love the idea of going deep into a game, or maybe a few games. Not a variety streamer. I don't want to be a variety streamer. I don't want to be a variety YouTuber. But I do love the idea of going deep into other games like I did with D3, but something that is going to be more lasting, and something that I know what I'm getting myself into. And I'm okay, I know that I want to put a lot of time into this game. That's the way that I play games, right? I don't just, play casual when I play games. I go hard on them. I'll put months and months or years into certain games, and that's what I want to do, right? And like I said, I'm not really sure what that next chapter is going to be like, but what I do know is that it's the right choice for me mentally to move on from Diablo 3. And it's not so much of quitting the game, right? That's why I said in the title of the video that I'm done with D3. Is like, it's more of retiring, but I think retiring's a little over dramatic. I've accomplished a lot in the game, and I'm not giving up on Diablo 3, right? It's like, well, I'm quitting D3 because I'm just not good enough, damn it, Oh boy. Like, that's not what it is. It's, I did my time, and the game's changed from something that I don't agree with anymore. I don't agree with the direction that they've gone, and so I'm done with it for now, right? Things change in the future, big expansion or huge drastic changes. Oh my god, it's so much fun now. You gotta come back, Yeah, you bet I'll be there. But because at the end of the day, I'm still passionate about Diablo. I still love Diablo. And I still feel like it has potential. And I'm rooting for you, Blizzard. I'm rooting for you. Make it great again. Make it what it deserves to be. And you better bet I'll come back for that. And so many other people will too. So many people have quit Diablo 3 over the years. There's almost none of the original streamers and YouTubers left. Right? And I've been going, probably some would say, much longer than I should have. But I just got so deep into it, and I just put so much time into it, and I made so many videos, and I was driven so hard by you guys, which was awesome, that you guys really wanted these things, and I didn't want to let you down. So I kept going with it, even at times when I felt like, oh, well, I'm just not really feeling it today. But you know what? No, I gotta suck it up, do it for the viewers, do it for the viewers. That's how I've always kind of thought about it. It's just, nope, just do it for them, And that's how I've always done it. And I know that a lot of you in my streams, over the past year or so could see that. You could read that on me. You guys aren't stupid. But at the same time, I still had to do it anyway. So now this is me being done with D3. Is taking back my life. Taking back that gamer, right? Getting that spark again for being a gamer, right? Being somebody that I'm no longer a Diablo 3 guy. Oh, Shinobi, like I went into a stream the other day, like a popular streamer stream, and he's like, that's Shinobi, the Diablo 3 god. Oh my god. I was like, oh my god. And people were like, Shin, PogChip, And like, I like that, right? I like that people recognize me for that, but I want to be known for more than just Diablo 3. My skill set and my time that I've put into gaming has been, it should not be pigeonholed to just Diablo 3. I spent way more time with Magic the Gathering. I spent way more time with World of Warcraft, just to name a few examples, right? So that's Diablo 3, even though it's been a huge part of my life and a big chapter in my life when it came to YouTube and streaming, I don't want it to be the whole thing though, right? If you can understand that. So this isn't anything personal, right? Even though I don't agree with Blizzard and we don't see eye to eye and we don't really work together anymore for a couple of reasons that I'm not going to delve into. Even though that's the case, it's nothing personal. I gotta move on, I think is the best way to go about it. I guess kind of sums it all up. It's just moving on to hopefully bigger and better things. I don't know what's out there, and that's part of what's gave me a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, is because, like, part of me is nervous about the future and what it will hold for my channels. But I'm also really looking forward to it. So if you guys want to join me in that future, I'd be more than glad to have you. If you guys strictly watch me for Diablo 3 and that's the only reason you watch my channel, and you don't, you're not open to other things, I completely understand. But I will tell you this, the type of gamer that I've been for D3, I am for every game out there. The type of mentality, the type of work ethic that I put into 16-hour plus days for doing YouTube videos and streaming, and just like, once I get in and once I'm in the zone, there ain't no stopping me. And I'm going to make sure that I make the best content you've ever seen. And that's my goal anyway, right? I'm going to do my best. I'm going to go 110%. And if you're interested in that, then I'll be glad to have you. So, anyway, thanks so much for the years of support and this community. And I appreciate each and every one of you, the trolls, the supporters, the core viewers, my ninjas, all of you guys. But it's time to move on. And like I said, this isn't supposed to be me against Diablo 3. I still love the game. And I wish it the best. 100% I wish it the best. And I look forward to seeing what it becomes. But for now, I gotta go my separate way. So, thanks again, guys. And I'll see you guys in my next stream. Till then, thanks for watching.